Your existence offends their vanity. Okay? There are a lot of people out there that think very highly of themselves. They think that they are the best, and they live this existence within their minds and project it onto the external world until you walk into the same room and all of a sudden you offer them proof that they are not as perfect or superior as they have thought themselves to be, and that there is someone that is better than them. And they tend to have a difficulty reconciling the fantasy they have in their mind, with the reality of you walking into the same room and, be it intentionally or unintentionally, one-upping them just by simply existing and breathing. And that gets them really, really worked up. They hate the fact that the little fantasy they created about themselves in their mind is being broken and shattered by you just for existing, just for breathing. And because of that, your existence offends their vanity. And this is something that, if you're a person with a healthy sense of self, self-esteem, and you have an understanding of reality, does not cross your mind. Especially if you're not really on the competitive side. You're just a person that believes in doing the work and putting in the effort and seeing what comes out of it and learning from your mistakes and basically readjusting your route, etc., etc. If you're this kind of person, a person that's based in reality, the behavior of these people does not make sense to you because you don't have a point of reference. And until someone actually who knows what's going on explains it to you, it's going to be a mystery for you as to why certain people mistreat you so badly, even though all you do is just exist. And let's say on top of that, you treat them with courtesy, respect, and dignity. But it seems that the more you do for them, the worse they tend to get. And that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with them. Their lack of confidence, their lack of self-esteem, their lack of basically liking themselves. So what they have to do is they will create a fantasy in their head to cope with their reality, to cope with their existence that they really don't like, that they loathe. Okay? And the problem is when they see you come in just existing, never mind even, you being happy and content, it just unsettles them. It unsettles them because in a lot of ways, they are admitting indirectly to you that they like you, that they're a fan of you, that they think that you are better than them, or that you possess something that they do not have and they wish they did. And rather than channeling that productively and positively, they proceed to tear you down in every possible way. Now, the less power they have over you, the more indirect their tearing down of you will be. The more power they have over you, increasingly direct will be their approach to tearing you down. And I'll give you 3 stories personally that I've experienced. And it wasn't up until the third story, when I was sharing it with a friend of mine who is a self-professed narcissist, explained to me what was going on, and basically what I just told you. So I had a job in a bank at one point. And in this role, I think it was the first month or 2 month, and I had to meet a member of the C-suite. And basically, from the first moment I met this person, him not knowing anything about me, just literally meeting me for the first time, the guy did not take a liking to me. Absolutely, without me giving him any reason not to. From the moment I said hi and we're about to shake hands, I can sense just the toxicity and the hatefulness coming off of him towards me. And, for the first few months, I tried to write it off. But over the time, increasingly, he started acting in ways that basically gave me solid objective evidence that this guy does not like me. No matter how well of a job I did, no matter how cooperative and helpful I was, there was always this attempt to, superimpose, dominate, cut me at the knees, undermine me, just trying to get to me, pretty much. Very, very toxic person who has this grandiose vision of himself or fantasy, and basically felt threatened by me. And this was confirmed to me by a few of my colleagues that observed the behavior. And basically, again, this was a case of my existence offending his vanity. All he thought of in his head was, how dare you exist and make me feel this way? This is how these people think. There are people like this out there, like actual, I don't want to even call them human beings, let's label them subhumans, that actually think that way and behave that way. And sure enough, this toxic C-suite, a few years down the road, God, now that I think about it, I don't even know how I lasted this long in this job. But a few years down the road, this toxic C-suite hires somebody on top of me. And sure enough, I hired a person that's typically in the corporate world is known as an ass kisser to those above him and a down kicker to those below him, meaning that kisses ass to whoever's above him and basically steps down on anyone that's beneath him. And as soon as this person came in, I ran into the same exact issue. Just, even though I've been there, I've built out a whole department from scratch, including everything from governance to all the procedures and, attestations, you name it. Relationships internally and externally. And this person comes in and the same thing. Very entitled, very just demeaning in their attitude, very domineering, based on absolutely nothing. They had no skill set whatsoever, aside from the fact that they knew the C-suite and that's why they got hired. So it was a case of nepotism. And it got really bad, and I knew it was getting bad when this person started just micromanaging the hell out of me. He would criticize, this is how petty he got. He would criticize things like me not putting a full stop at an end of a sentence. That would be a big deal, and brings it up in a performance evaluation and knocks me down a few points, including not recommending me for a promotion or a salary increase over a full stop. Like that's that level of micromanagement and pettiness. And again, the same comment was made by other colleagues and coworkers is that, yeah, this person is very insecure, feels threatened by you. And again, this was a case of my existence offending his vanity. And in this case, I can't really blame him. He was unqualified for the job, but got the job because he knew the C-suite. And I mean, it's like when someone at a C-suite level tells you, here's a job, you presume that you're capable of doing it. But that also is a personality trait or characteristic of delusion that exists with these types that get like irritated by other people just for having a capability that they don't have. Is this just living in their heads and trying to project a fantasy on reality, and when it doesn't work or reconcile, they get angry and rageful. They are just pissed. It's like you're dealing with a child that you told they cannot have a lollipop or candy, and they just throw a tantrum. Like that level of pettiness, okay? And these are people that are out there, they're real, and they run the world you live in, by the way. This is the scary part, okay? But I ate shit with this guy for about a year and a half, and then I just got fed up. And I said, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. I'm done with this. If it gets me fired, it gets me fired. Even when I documented everything and I've put the facts on paper, I did get fired, okay? There was no due process. Nobody wanted to hear my side of the story. It was basically their little clique gang overriding reality to their benefit. And let's face it, when it comes from the C-suite, no one else in the organization is gonna say anything or try to stand up for someone else, because everyone is watching out for, you know, their paycheck. They want to pay their bills and take care of their families. So it becomes, this is why a lot of corporate environments and work environments are super toxic. And unfortunately, it's these delusional people that tend to make it to the top. But again, I ended up losing this job because no matter what I did, no matter how nice, no matter how helpful, no matter how good at my job I was, and I was extremely good at my job. Like I literally, before these two people messed around with me, I was getting awards almost every 6 months. Like that's how good I was, like recognition awards, recognition by peers and colleagues. And it just goes to show how all it takes is at least one toxic person that basically cannot stomach your existence, and they have enough power over you, and they will destroy you. And let me put it this way. When someone terminates your employment or fires you or lays you off, it is the equivalent of killing you, because they are taking away from you your ability to procure nutrition, sustenance, and the ability to shelter yourself. But not only that, they are purposely damaging your reputation to damage your ability to secure other opportunities to take care of yourself and your family. And the only reason they're laying you off or firing you rather than killing you is simply because it is illegal to do so. If they can kill you, they will. So being fired or being laid off is the equivalent of being killed by your tribe, technically, well, even though it's not my tribe. And this is why a lot of people in corporate settings have this inherent fear of being ostracized or not playing the game or not fitting in. And that's why a lot of people will see a lot of evil shit happen and they stay quiet because it becomes this existence of survival. And even though they know there's a lot of evil happening and unethical and immoral things taking place, they shut up because it's coming from a source of authority. So someone with more power over them. So that's one example. Another example, which was a job also. I joined a tech startup after it's been around for about 4 years. And I was brought over by a C-suite also to help build a governance program from the ground up. And I was given certain milestones. And if by the 6th month I hit my milestones, I would get a $40,000 bonus just for hitting the milestone. About 2 weeks into the job, the C-suite that hired me got fired, which I thought was a red flag. But I had just joined and I was like, well, what am I going to do, right? Like, I basically followed the approach of, let me turn a blind eye and focus on the job. Why he was fired doesn't really matter, given that we're telling the story about me here. Anyways, I basically had my reporting line moved to the general counsel for the organization, basically the head lawyer for that tech startup. From the first meeting I had with this person, and he was not involved with my hiring decision. I had never met him before. It was the first time I met him. He simply did not stomach me. Absolutely resented me and didn't even try to hide it. He made it very clear through his language, spoken and body language. He would sneer at me in public, like in front of other peers and during meetings. And it's just like displaying this complete discontent with me. Okay? And what I realized, so basically, I'll get to that shortly, but what I realized within a few weeks is that this person is really unhappy. Even though they're at the top of their game, they actually had stock options, basically ownership within the tech startup, because one of the early employees lived in Europe, even though worked for a company here in Canada. This person just had this past and history, apparently, from some of the stories I heard, including from him, growing up in poverty, growing up with a family that possibly was abusive, and basically, rather than seeking help, this person just decided to take his rage out on whoever that's where it gets interesting, whoever he felt threatened by. Because there were people that he basically valued or took care of, but they tended to be submissive to him. They tended to be underlying in their behavior. They tended to be weaker than him, okay? And he liked that. He liked to feel powerful and important. And I personally, not because I'm an asshole, but I am there to do a job. I am not going to undermine myself to make someone else feel good about themselves just because they have issues. We all have issues, right? Like, I have my own issues. I don't go taking them out on people. I deal with them personally. And basically every day passed by. I had to deal with harassment, bullying, just sabotage to my work, micromanagement, again, in the form of very petty criticism, just arguments over things that I'm a subject matter in that they have no clue or idea about, but they're just arguing for the sake of arguing, just to dominate the conversation. And this is a pattern of behavior, by the way, with these people, is that They tend to micromanage, be extremely petty, and they try to dominate and argue in things that they have no understanding of. Anyways, so I, at that point, decided, listen, you know what? I've already seen this before. I know how it's going to end. Let me work as much as I can, make as much money as I can, and then, I'll get out of here. Like, it doesn't matter at this point if I start looking for other work. It's just like, I'm going to have to do that anyways. So I focused on delivering what I promised to deliver initially. When I joined this tech startup, and it was about 2 weeks before the 6-month milestone, I had delivered on all of my milestones. And basically I had a co-worker at this point I was assigned to supervise me administratively. I was very happy with the work, everybody was, and basically had a conversation with HR that I was gonna get the 40,000 6-month milestone, and a month, and basically set up a call with me to congratulate me on my efforts and achievements, and that I'll be getting that payment on my next paycheck. I was happy. Okay, I was happy. I really do appreciate when my work gets valued and has impact and is helpful to others. But that happiness was short-lived. A week later, I had this random meeting scheduled first thing next day in the morning, and the invite came later in the night. My gut instinct told me something is wrong, but I tried not to think too much about it, considering that just a week ago I was notified I'm getting my bonus. Sure enough, I walk into the meeting and this asshole is there with the most inhumane, disrespectful, uncaring demeanor of just firing me. No reason, no justification. I went as far as asking, like, was it my work? Did I do something wrong? And it's straight to my face. It was like, no, we didn't do anything. It's just a layoff without cause. And I mean, at this point, I'm like, okay, whatever. I just ended the call and I was like, here we go. A week ago, I got told I'm getting a $40,000 bonus for my amazing work and delivering on all of my promises and milestones. And a week later, I'm being fired. And this is what these people do. When they feel inferior to you, when they feel threatened by you, they can never face you directly, okay? And the only way they'll be direct with you is that they have absolute power over you and there are zero consequences, okay? And if they can kill you, they will. That's how sick and diseased they are. Now, because this person was at this point my supervisor, well, not my supervisor, but my new reporting head, and obviously it's a job, the most he can do is get rid of me. And the whole thing about the notification of the bonus, I don't think it was necessarily intentional, but once he became aware of it, it became intentional. The whole thing was that it wasn't enough just for him to fire me. He had to take away my achievement from me. This is this sort of sick satisfaction these people get. So it wasn't just enough that to end and terminate my employment, but also to make sure I don't get paid what I'm deserved. And yeah, it's like these people, they will hurt you and try to set you back. And if they can get away with it, kill you if you offend their vanity. And their vanity is that they are important, they are worthy, and you are a plebeian. You are a nobody And non-ironically, this guy would refer to everybody else as plebeians. I mean, fucking lawyers and accountants. But anyways, and the truth of the matter is, these people are compensating for deep, deep self-loathing and hatred. Okay? You're never going to see a happy person, a person that loves themselves and is content within themselves, bully someone else. People like this build other people up. But small, hateful, unhappy, miserable people, they tear other people down. They tear other people down because they can only feel good about themselves by being above others. Meanwhile, a happy person actually becomes happier by bringing other people up. So one is stepping down on others, and the other is extending a hand of help to pull others up. And yeah, these are my stories of personal accounts of dealing with people that just the fact that you exist, they're offended by your existence. There's a few other stories like this. I have a theme in my life, which is why, by the way, I ended up taking the entrepreneurial route and working for myself. I just got so fed up of dealing with petty, weak people that I decided, you know what, if my life is going to be hard anyways, I want to bet on myself and not have to deal with this bullshit, which worked out great for me. The only other thing I will say is that the reason a lot of institutions and organizations have these people at the top is that these people are the most incentivized to make it to the top, to try to fill this hole, this gap within themselves. A person that's happy, content, has their needs met, and they're just psychologically well-rounded, has really no need to be above others. Okay? But a person that has this sense of lack, that scarcity, that unfulfillment and misery, they can't self-regulate and they cannot self-manage internally. So they need to look for external things to help themselves soothe. And one way for them to do that is to get power and status to abuse others so they can soothe themselves. And this is why the world, from an institutional, corporate, organization standpoint, is messed up. Because these people are rewarded. Okay? They're rewarded for their behaviors because they will do anything, and I mean anything, to get ahead so they can feel good about themselves. The other thing is that these people can never ever be alone. They hate being alone because when they're alone, they have to confront themselves and they hate themselves. So they constantly have to be around other people and engaging other people to distract themselves from how much they hate themselves. But anyways, I can keep going on, but you guys, I think, get the gist at this point. If you've ever run into this, I'm sorry you had to deal with this, but also, you know what they say, that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So the fact that someone hates you, they're secretly in love with you, but they can't stomach the idea of you being better than them. So, anyways, this is it for this upload, you guys. Your existence offends their vanity. Hopefully this is helpful for some of you out there. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.